system. It has been very time consuming for many. And some of the campuses that were better funded than others were able to implement much more sophisticated versions of PeopleSoft. And so as a result, some campuses had options that other campuses that were not as financially well off as others. So it really created a disparity on how PeopleSoft was implemented in the campuses. So with the implementation of the system-wide, the hope is that we will correct that and everyone will have the same information, will process information into the system in the same manner. And hopefully it will reduce a lot of waste and will create a main site where data can be gathered rather than calling on each of the campuses to submit information. The Chancellor's Office is able then to generate from a data warehouse that will be created as a result of this common human resource system. We can go on to the next slide, please. So this is a very broad overview of what it will look like in the coming months and years. And just so that you know, there are two main things that are taking place. One is the implementation of the Common Human Resource System. We have not yet been identified, or no campus has yet been identified as a wave in the system. And if you look at this particular slide, you will see that it goes out to 2022. We may very well be somewhere between 2020 and 2022. We don't know yet, so we will have to deal with a little bit of uncertainty between now and then. But be assured that we are all working very hard at ensuring that this is a painless process for everyone. And our hope is that, and our intention is that this will have a minimal amount of impact on the users of PeopleSoft, the individuals who use it on a day-to-day basis, and those individuals who use it frequently. It may have absolutely no impact on those individuals who don't ever go into PeopleSoft unless they have to do self-service. The other one is the recruiting piece, which will be discussed later, and that hopefully we will be one of the early adapters of this particular project. But it gives you an overview of how long this project will take and how many steps are involved. It doesn't capture the work that has been done over the last 2 years or so. So there's a lot of work that took place up until now, but we do see a light at the end of the proverbial tunnel, and we're very excited about it. And this particular slide talks about change management. And what does change management mean? Change management really is helping those individuals that are going through a process that is significantly different than they're accustomed to, and helping them understand the process and how their role is important in the process, and to help them work through whatever concerns come up, uncertainties that come up, and helping us get to the final end goal, which is the implementation of CHRS. Now that's change management in a nutshell. You will be able to learn more about it as we continue on this road. As I mentioned, we don't expect to get to the end until sometime in 2020, 2022, and perhaps a little bit later, but not too much later. But we will be providing significantly more information. We are working with individuals that are impacted. So if you have not heard of CHRS or CHRS, it probably means that you don't interact with PeopleSoft very much. Otherwise, you would have already been engaged in many conversations. The purpose of our presentation really is to provide a broad overview to the entire campus community that may not have yet been impacted by this implementation. So next, I would like to introduce Karen Davis, the payroll manager.
Thank you, Cesar. Good morning. My name is Karen Davis. I'm manager of payroll services. And as Cesar explained to you, with the implementation of the CHRS project, the Chancellor's Office has recommended that all campuses do their payroll processing and pay dates on the same date. There are 6 of us of the 23 that were not using the 15th payroll pay date. So we will be changing that. This will be effective with the July 2018 pay period. That pay date will change from the 10th to the 15th, and this will be for the June payroll. This will affect hourly employees, employees receiving overtime, shift dip. This will also affect students, student assistants, instructional student assistants, federal work study, all students except for teaching associates and grad assistants. This also can impact excess hours, additional day off payments, and holiday credit payments that are also paid on the 10th. They will now move to the 15th, effective in July. Next slide, please. This shows a chart of the calendar, and the calendars are now posted to Payroll's website. The first pay date of July 16th is Monday, and that is because the 15th falls on a Sunday. If the 15th falls on a Saturday, we will pay on the 14th, as it shows for September. Next slide, please. Stipends that are usually paid on the 10th will be pushed forward. So beginning with the June pay period, if you receive a stipend, your stipend will be issued with your master payroll check on June 30th. And as it was addressed, master payroll is not affected by this pay date change. This is for positive and student pay only. Timesheets and student listings will still be due to payroll on the first business day following the pay period the work was completed. So for instance, the June pay period is from May 31st through June 30th, and the forms are due to payroll by July 2nd. Late submittals will still be processed in a timely manner, but no guarantee they'll be paid or issued on the 15th. So I strongly recommend that you get your documents in on time. Absence management, self-service is also affected. The calendars, both hourly and salary, will now run concurrently, and the timekeepers can review both calendars at the same time. Approvers can approve it at the same time. So that's helping to make your life a little easier. And those dates are on the payroll website of what they've changed to. We will be starting in April with the checks issued on the 10th. We will insert payroll stuffers for the next 3 months, April, May, and June, to inform people. We will also have posters throughout the campus letting people know. You can also go to Payroll Services website for additional information and frequently asked questions. And I will now pass it over to Tammy.
So I'm Tammy Dietzel from Human Resources, and in a minute I'll pass it to Tammy Sells from Academic Personnel. So for now I'm going to talk about standardization, and if you guys remember on one of CSUSB slides there was a timeline that talked about right now in 2018 we're doing conversion and standardization. So what we meant by standardization is more what fields in PeopleSoft, what we mean by different fields, what we mean when we enter data. So something as simple as when we're entering addresses and we use avenue. Are we spelling out avenue? Are we saying AVE? Something as simple as that, or even as address type. So the difference between home address, mailing address, those different kinds of things. And this slide, really, we just wanted to show you that the standardization process is not only with the CEO, but it's between all 23 campuses. So it's going through a vetting process to make sure that it not only meets our campus, it meets other campuses and the COs, all of our business process guides. So that's really what this slide is to show you, is that it goes through all these different processes before we have the final definition. And as we get those final definitions, as far as what those fields are going to mean and what the data standardization is, we're going to share it with campus as we have it. But it's definitely something that's in progress right now. I think that's it. Right here. Right, Tim.
Hello? Okay. Hi, my name is Tammy from Academic Personnel. And what I'm going to touch on is more of standardization, like Tammy Diesel from Human Resources did. And so this applies to part-time faculty that are hired using the temporary faculty module. And so basically what it is, the process to change them from an organizational relationship of employee to future hire. We have provided training on this to the colleges that utilize this process, and also the business process guide is available on the academic personnel website. And you can also reach out to me if you have any questions regarding the process. And so it's also effective immediately. And now I would like to introduce Laura Carzales from Security.
Hi, everyone. I'm Laura Carzales, like Tammy mentioned, from Information Security and Emerging Technologies Office, and I work mostly with the PeopleSoft Security Administration in both HR and the student side. And I'm going to be going over a little bit of the changes that we've been making to security in preparation for CHRS. We've been going through each role. Individuals are granted one or more roles, and these roles are made up of certain pages you have access to in PeopleSoft. And there's a group of us that are going through each of these roles and deciding whether or not certain pages are needed or not needed. And so this is nothing to worry about. We're actually just removing things that aren't being used or no longer being used. We're just basically doing a cleanup so that we have clean data going in when we merge over to CHRS. And wanted to mention that the 4 areas that we've made changes to already are to the college analysts. So if you haven't noticed anything, that's a good thing. And we've also made changes to the department coordinators, the College of Extended Learning staff, and also to budget office personnel. There are many areas that we still have to go through, but that's going to take months, and it's months of testing as well. We're not just removing access without making sure that we test it first. So I think that's about it. I'll hand it over to Stacy now.
Hi, everybody. I'm Stacy Bernier, the Director of Human Resources. And I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about PageUp, which is going to be taking the place of our current recruitment software, which is NeoGov. So some of you may or may not remember when we had the PeopleSoft recruiting solution. Other campuses still utilize that, but there are also about 13 campuses that are utilizing various third-party solutions because recruiting solutions didn't work for them. So the system-wide office has gone through a very extensive RFP process and selected PageUp as our new recruitment solution for the entire CSU system. So what that means for us is that we're going to be able to use a system that is specializing in higher education and gives us some additional flexibility for using faculty recruitment, and also that's specializing in 100% retention in their higher education market, which is very exciting for us. We're also looking at the usage of a versionless system, and that allows all users across the platform to be using the exact same version. So it's not, are you on 8.0 or 9.0? Everybody is using the exact same platform. An additional component of support for us is going to be all levels, including 24/7 live support, which is fantastic for us who we may have candidates from overseas that are trying to apply for a job and may require additional support. This will grant them that additional layer of support from PageUp. So if we could move on to the next slide. So just to give you all a little bit of an idea of the other higher education communities that are currently using PageUp, we are in good company with several universities that are already using the system. So they've really tried to master the higher education environment, which is unique in the world of recruitment and HR. So we're hoping that we'll be able to leverage this system the same way these other higher education institutions have. But I do want to make a little bit of a disclaimer that we haven't actually gotten into the system yet to really see what we can do with the system. So we're very hopeful and very positive, but I do want to make sure that people understand that we haven't actually been able to use the system on an end user level just yet. Okay, so if we could go ahead and move on to the next slide. So just to give you an idea, a little bit of a snapshot of some of the components that we're going to be hopefully using in PageUp. We're looking at a uniform platform, so that means all campuses the end user will have the same experience. So if they apply at the chancellor's office for a job, it should be the same experience, but essentially just a different logo at the top of the page. Same with applying at a position, from Humboldt to San Diego State. They should really have the same user experience as an applicant. We should also be having the same experience as end users, from search committees to hiring managers to the HR departments that utilize the software. There's going to be mobile capabilities, which is very exciting. We're getting in with the times. People are going to be able to apply for jobs from their phones, iPads, or desktop. Additional capability is some talent search functionality, which we have not had before, which we will actually be able to go in and look. If we need math faculty, we can go in and look in the system and identify math faculty, which is not something that we've had in the past with our existing recruitment software. So that's very, very exciting, and we're hopeful that that's going to bring some new talent to the CSU, especially CSU San Bernardino. We've also got higher education workflows. So, you guys currently may utilize NeoGov for requisitions for hiring. Our understanding of the capabilities of PageUp is that it's going to have very similar workflow processes that we're going to be able to customize to our individual campus needs. And so that's something that we're excited that we're going to be able to keep that. Something that we're hoping going to be able to help the onboarding experience of our new employees is the onboarding capability that PageUp has. Currently with NeoGov, we don't have integration with PeopleSoft, so there is a manual process on both the HR and academic personnel side, which requires us to manually take data from NeoGov and enter it into PeopleSoft to be able to create employee records. So that also helps with the delays that we experience in getting new employee ID numbers, getting ID cards, getting access to email, those sorts of things. We've been told that will be minimized with PageUp. Now, like I said, we're hopeful that that's going to be happening, but we haven't actually played in the sandbox just yet. So that's one of the things that we're looking at. We have seen that they're going to have an automated offer letter process, which is fantastic. We're currently using, hard copies and email copies to get everything to candidates. Right now, PageUp is saying that we're going to be able to do that electronically, which should help automate the process and then integrate new employees into PeopleSoft. And then we're going to have data analytics that are going to be unified. We can actually run reports across the system to look at our candidates and look at our affirmative action plans and really look at the way that we are recruiting from a system-wide perspective. Right now, we're looking at each individual campus's data from a system-wide perspective and having to send reports in the same way other information is capitalized at the chancellor's office. So this will hopefully minimize some of that redundancy, which is fantastic. All right, so if we could look at the next slide. I'm going to talk a little bit about the timeline for PageUp. Right now, we're anxiously awaiting our wave determination. So just like the CHRS project, the PageUp project is looking at wave selection. So we've gone through a varying number of questions and answer periods for the HR side of the house, for the IT side of the house. And we filled out a number of surveys and requests for information to identify our campus as hopefully being one of the first to adopt. However, we're at the mercy of the chancellor's office, so we're waiting for them to let us know what wave we're going to be selected for. So we're hopeful that if we get selected as a Wave 1 campus, that we'll start working on all of the behind the scenes work that needs to go into us moving forward and be able to adopt and implement or go live, if you will, in December of 2018. Now, it feels like that's really far away, but it also feels like it's right around the corner because we're starting spring quarter. So we're very hopeful, but we're still at the mercy of the chancellor's office in letting us know what those dates are. As soon as we know those dates, we'll definitely be sure to share that information with the campus because it's going to impact the way that we do business and we want to get your feedback, and we may be asking for your help in serving in some of the committees that will be involved in testing the software and making sure that it really does work for our campus the way that we want it to work for our campus. All right. So that's the end of the page up portion, and it's also the end of our presentation. We do want to open it up for questions, and I know that we've got several, we may have several on the chat, but I think we'll go ahead and start first with those of you in the room. We do need to pass the microphone around, but I don't know what happened to it.
Or you guys can ask your questions and then we can repeat them in the microphone.
Questions? So the question has to do, why are we moving it to the 15th rather than the 10th? Ostensibly is the question that, because of the concern of students who might have bills that are being paid on the 10th, and so the additional 5 days may be a hardship to them. Is that correct? Okay. So we actually have no choice in changing, so we have to change it to the 15th. That is a directive from the Chancellor's office. What we have been doing is we've developed a communication plan where we are informing everyone who is impacted, and that communication plan is going to start in the next week or so. So we've considered the impact to a variety of individuals, not just our students. So Karen mentioned that it also impacted people who get paid overtime, and I guess they would be positively impacted because they're getting their money sooner rather than later. So I personally would like to have my money sooner rather than later. So that's a positive impact for those individuals. But we were and we continue to be very concerned about those individuals who only get paid or get all of their money on the 15th. And we hope that with the communication plan that we've outlined, that we are preparing our employees for that change. The change is unavoidable. It's going to have to happen. We are one of 6 campuses that are paying that special pay on the 10th. So it's going to happen. Our goal is to make it as painless as possible and to inform people well ahead of time so that they can better prepare for it.
I just want to clarify one thing that was said. With the 15th, it does impact overtime and shift diff. Is also moving from the 10th to the 15th. It's stipends that are getting pushed forward. So those people receiving stipends will get theirs sooner. But it's overtime, shift diff, and students that'll be receiving it on the 15th. Just one. And they will still receive.
Also, just to be clear, individuals who are receiving stipends that are moving to the master payroll date, they will still receive 2 checks. They will receive their regular paycheck and the stipend check. Do we have additional questions? I think Jenny had raised her hand. So the question was, can we explain what a wave is and what the wave selection process sort of looks like? Essentially, we've got 23 campuses, and if we had all 23 campuses moving to a new process at the same time, it would make it very challenging for us to move forward. So we're essentially picking chunks of campuses, or I can't say we, the Chancellor's office is selecting groups of campuses to move towards the change. So those of you who were involved in the CS and HR 9.2 split process, we were part of a wave for that. So they are selecting dates for us to go through these changes with other campus counterparts. Does that make sense? Did I answer your question? Okay. Any additional questions from the group? Not all at once.
Did I see? Did I see a hand back there? No. No. Okay. There are no questions online.
And no questions online?
Okay, for those of you who did arrive here in person, if you could sign in, the sign-in sheet is in the back. We want to make sure that we continue to stay in communication with you. There will be, the PowerPoint presentation will be sent out later, correct? So, and the recording will be made available. And again, thank you for attending. Hopefully this helped clarify what CHRS CHRS is and how it may or may not impact you both immediately and in the future. We hope to have more of these sessions as we continue. Again, keep in mind that we're not certain about the particular way for either the recruiting piece or for CHRS, but our intention is to keep you informed so that there are no surprises when we finally begin to roll it out. Thank you, and thank you to the panelists for being so helpful, and for Karen for correcting my error. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon. Oh, yeah. At IT for the incredible support that they always provide to us.